We are now getting to the end of the year, and like most people, you're probably writing down a list of your New Year's resolution. You did the same thing last year, but the first month into 2023, you gave up on those promises. And that's not because you're a bad person or because you're undisciplined. That's simply down to the fact that you just have bad habits. So my promise to you is that by the end of today's video, I will help you understand the importance and the role that habits play in our daily lives, and how you can actually take action in order to improve your habits for good and never have to worry about bad habits again. Now, if you don't already know who I am, my name is Yuan Muntianu and I'm the owner of an online fitness coaching business. If you stay to the end of this video, I will show you how I can help you build your habits faster and easier. But without further ado, I hope you enjoyed this video and I really appreciate you for watching. But always remember, I believe in you and I'm rooting for you. So, most people have this misconception of habits just being an action that they do automatically in a specific situation, which on paper it is, but in reality it's a little bit more deep than that. Our habits are very important and detrimental when it comes to making progress in our self-development. The reason is because our habits is our identity. If you're someone who goes to the gym regularly and you're very consistent and disciplined, your identity is that of a fit and disciplined person. You have the characteristics of a disciplined person because you are consistent and you go to the gym and you are extremely fit. But on the other hand, if you come home from work and you jump on the couch and watch your favorite Netflix show, you therefore have the identity of a lazy person. So the first thing you need to understand is that everything you want in life comes down to simply just improving your habits. Once you understand this, it makes the process of you achieving something a lot more simple, but not easy, because nothing in life comes easy. Now, our habits is actually a lot more important than the actual goal. For example, if you say to yourself that you need to lose weight and that you're overweight and you need to start going to the gym, that won't do anything. Your goal may be to have a six-pack, but that won't do anything for you. What will get you to those goals is by focusing on your habits. If you have good, healthy eating habits, you are therefore automatically going to become a fitter person and lose weight automatically just because you have good eating habits. If you have bad eating habits, you are therefore going to gain a lot more weight automatically because you just have bad eating habits. So the first thing that you need to understand is that it's not about the goals. It's about the systems that you put in order to actually reach the goals. And before I move on to my next point, I just want to make it clear that you should stop complaining. You shouldn't blame everything on everyone else. You should take full accountability for your situation. Because the reality is, and most people don't want to accept this, and no matter how much you disagree with me, I am right. What I am right about is that you have a lot more control over your life than you think you do. So stop focusing on the things that you can't control and focus on the things that you can control. The reason you are fat or overweight or in a situation where your life is miserable isn't anybody's fault. It's all your fault. Now, as harsh as this sounds, it's life. So deal with it. That's the first thing I would like to mention, is that you need to stop complaining and take full accountability for your actions. So moving on to my next point, which is that everything takes time and it's supposed to be hard, because if the journey is not hard, it won't be fulfilling. Now, as obvious as this sounds, a lot of people, maybe yourself included, have this fantasy of fast changes in their life. They want to be like a movie star who instantly has this overnight success. They want to be like Spider-Man, for example, who gets bit by a spider and overnight becomes jacked and has this new mission and purpose in life to become a superhero. But life doesn't work that way, and you know it. So what you should understand is that habits and progress is never going to be linear. Habits and progress actually compounds. Now, the biggest problem people are facing is actually massive action. That's why 96% of people actually fail within the first 6 weeks of the New Year's resolution. That's all down because they just don't have previous results to back up this new identity that they are trying to build. So stop trying to reduce the time that it takes you to achieve something and focus on just steady growth. Because steady growth is like a seed that you plant and consistently water it. And over time it becomes a fruit which you can then harvest. Because in all aspects of life, you reap what you sow. So with that being said, in the first week of 2024, don't try go to the gym 2 hours a day for 6 days out of the week. Try go to the gym for 2 minutes, 6 days out of the week. Build up that habit of just showing up and having proof that you are this new person who is consistent and is showing up to the gym every single day that they say they will. Now, before you can start creating your new habit, you have to understand the pattern of a habit. In the book Atomic Habits, the author talks about this 4-step pattern which occurs with every single habit. It goes in the order of the cue, the craving, the response, and the reward. But I personally think that there is a 5th element to this pattern, which is the consequence. So let me give you a better example. I used to have a bad habit of scrolling on Instagram whenever I felt a little bit overwhelmed with the task at hand that I had to do. So I felt overwhelmed with a big decision that I had to make or something difficult. So in order to resolve my feeling of discomfort, what I did is I'll just take out my phone and start scrolling on Instagram, which is horrible. Therefore, I did satisfy my desire to want to procrastinate, and I got the reward of instant gratification and a little bit of dopamine. But the 5th and final element of this pattern is that I felt ashamed and disappointed in myself for not doing the task first before I went on to Instagram to scroll and get some pleasure. So as you can see, every single habit follows this pattern. Now you'll see how this ties into creating better habits later on as I explain the steps in order to actually create a better habit. So in the book Atomic Habits, the author also talks about this 4-step process that you have to go to in order to make a habit. It goes in the order of, you have to first of all make a habit obvious, you have to make it attractive, you have to make it easy, and you have to make it satisfying. Now I'll go through these individually so you can get a better understanding of what I mean. And at the end, I'll kind of sum it up and help you understand how you can actually apply this to your life. So making a habit obvious all comes down to your environment. And your environment is very important. Now going back to the previous example of my Instagram scrolling, my cue was that I felt overwhelmed. And it was super easy for me to start going into the next phases of my response and my action, to take my phone out and start scrolling because my phone was always beside me. So what I did to resolve this problem of going on Instagram and procrastinating on the hard work that I had to do was I literally just removed one single cue and made it harder for me to even indulge in the bad habit. All I did was delete Instagram, and that eliminated my entire habit of procrastinating and endlessly scrolling on Instagram. Recently, I've realized that I wasn't drinking enough water in my days. I just wasn't getting enough water and I was always dehydrated. So the way I solved this problem was very simple. I made it super easy and so obvious for me to drink my water. What I did is I just placed 2 water bottles right beside my laptop every single time I sat down to do a work block. So by the end of my 1-hour work block, I'd probably have finished 1 liter of water just by it standing right in front of me, because it was obvious. So the actions that you need to take is that for a bad habit, you should realize what your trigger is and eliminate it. And if you want to create a good habit, figure out how you can add a trigger and make it more obvious for you. Now, when it comes to actually making a habit more attractive to perform, in the book Atomic Habits, the author talks about this process of trying to connect a desired habit with a behavior you already enjoy doing. So the example he gives is that you should only watch Netflix while you're working out in the gym. But personally, I think that example is a bit too shallow and won't really generate strong results. Now, the opinion I have is a bit controversial, but I've used this myself and I can tell you that it works from experience. In my opinion, this is how you can turn the step of making a habit more attractive and put it on steroids. We all have enemies and painful moments in our life, but we just don't use them to our advantage. So what I would recommend you to do is to write down 5 of your most painful moments and 5 of your most painful statements. Write down the time that your girlfriend or boyfriend cheated on you and broke up with you and how that made you feel. Write down the most painful moments in your life. Write down that statement that your uncle made at that family gathering and how it made you feel. Write down that time that you had an argument with your friend and what they said about you and how that made you feel. Everyone has enemies and painful moments. You just have to learn to use them to your advantage. Now, the way you can make a habit more easy to perform is simply just by eliminating your limiting beliefs. You see, sometimes our biggest anchors in life is our limiting beliefs about ourselves. If you never want to make any progress in life and you always want to remain the same, you should always focus on other people's opinions and value their opinions over your own. Because at the end of the day, you become successful the second you say you are successful. And going back to the point I made earlier, success is the journey, not the achievement. Now, what I'm about to say may seem like I'm somewhat arrogant or I'm inconsiderate of your life situations, but if you really want to make it easy for you to form a new identity and new habits, you should remove or get rid of all your current friends. Because if you're in a position that you don't want to be in and your life is not going great, or you're unfit, or you're an alcoholic, or you just have problems that you don't really deal with, that's simply down because you have influences, and especially bad influences around you. If your friends go out drinking every single weekend or weekday, if they're hardcore like that, it will 100% influence you to go along with them. If your friends are fat, you are most likely going to be fat. But if you have friends who give off positive influences, for example, someone who is extremely fit and has their life in order will influence you to have your life in order and be extremely fit. Because at the end of the day, you are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time around. Now, every single person actually agrees with this statement, yet they still never really change their friends because they're scared of being judged. Now, going back to the point that I made earlier, which is that you're never going to achieve anything in life if all you care about is other people's opinions over your own opinion. So an action that you should take is to get new friends. So another way you can actually make a habit more easy to perform is by using one-time actions. If you would like to stop watching Netflix and being lazy all the time, simply just delete Netflix and cancel your subscription. Now, if you're under a household that obviously uses the TV as well and they like to watch Netflix, and just because you don't want to watch Netflix, you don't want to ruin it for everybody else, what you can do is just simply invert this law and principle and make it as hard as possible for you to even indulge in the bad habit in the first place. So unplug the TV after each use. And if that doesn't work for you, take out the TV from your own room. The key point is to make it as hard as possible for you to start the habit that you don't want to do. If you have bad eating habits, one thing that you can do to actually turn them into good eating habits is to temporarily change your location from where you buy your groceries. Because if you go to a new location which you are unfamiliar with and you don't know where every single produce is, it's going to be harder for you to indulge in buying those bad sweets or junk food in the first place. And what else you can do that will make it even more easy for you to buy healthy food is to just sign up to a meal delivery system. And actually a lot of grocery shops do this, where you can just do your grocery shopping online and have them deliver it to your door. Now, the law of making it easy and making it obvious go hand in hand, because if it's obvious to start the habit, it should also be easy to finish the habit. One last point I would like to leave you with is a quote by Alex Hormozy, which is that you don't become confident by shouting affirmations in the mirror. You become confident by having a stack of undeniable proof that you are who you say you are. So outwork your self-doubt. So going back to the other point I made earlier, which is only show up to the gym for 2 minutes, do one exercise and leave. Just be consistent in showing up, and over time you will build that habit of being someone who goes to the gym regularly and is consistent and does what they say they will do. So have proof that you are who you say you are. Now, the final step to creating a good habit is to make it satisfying. The easiest way you can do this is to have an accountability partner and set up a contract with them. So on the contract side of the agreement, you should make your own terms and conditions and consequences for you performing your bad habits. So for example, if you sleep in when you have a new desire to build a habit of waking up at 6 a.m., if you sleep in, you have to pay your accountability partner a fee of €20. Or you have to do a favor for them every single time you don't perform the habit that you said you will perform. This makes it harder for you to not perform the habit. Now, one key point I would also like to make is that your accountability partner should be someone who already has what you want, whether it be a nice car or a six-pack, because they will already have the experience of getting what you want, and they'll be able to help you and keep you accountable for your actions. Now, if you think this might not work for you, I'm sorry to break it to you, but it will. The reason is because humans are social creatures and we care deeply about what others think about us, and we don't want people to think less of us. Your accountability partner will also be the person that will help you keep you on track. So whenever you're not feeling motivated, send them a quick message and they will just motivate you and remind you why you are doing this in the first place. So the last and final point I would like to leave you with is that you should celebrate your small wins and milestones. This will lead me into my next point, which is that you should track your progress. This can be as simple as just marking X on the calendar every single time you go to the gym. What you are doing is you're providing yourself proof that you are becoming this new person and you are improving. Also, create a reward system. So every single time you complete a habit, you reward yourself with something because it's more satisfying. Now, for example, don't eat a bowl of ice cream every single time you finish a workout because that just conflicts with your identity. But do something that you enjoy that is not too bad for you. For example, you can reward yourself for watching your favorite TV show after you go to the gym. These are just some of the ways that you can make a habit more satisfying to perform. One last thing I want to say is that this is going to take time and it's going to take consistency. You're going to have to be a new person and you're going to have to use your tenacity in order to get through this. But you will be able to do it because right now you are taking the first step in actually improving yourself. You're trying to learn. You're trying to gain more knowledge. So I'm going to keep my promise and I'm going to show you how I can actually help you build your habits a little bit faster and make it a little bit more easy for you to start taking action now. So congratulations on finishing today's video and taking the first step to improving your habits. If you'd like to see a summarized version of this all in a PDF, plus an example of how you can turn going to the gym into a habit, it's in the link in the description. If you want, go check it out. It's completely free and I hope it benefits you. Now, going back to the first promise that I made to you at the start of the video, which is how I can actually help you build your habits faster and easier. I'm going to offer you an opportunity to work with me. Now, it's 100% free. There's no catch, there's no strings attached. I just want to provide as much value and increase my reputation in this industry. Now, the offer I'm going to make to you is hopefully going to be one you cannot resist. The offer is that me and you go on a one-to-one call where I help you build every single system and ensure that you have a solid foundation for building good and lasting habits. I will also help you eliminate all of your bad habits to make sure that they never bother you again and everything in between. As a part of this offer, I will also be your accountability partner for the first 2 weeks of us working together to make sure that you get a head start in 2024 to reach your fitness goals by the end of the year. With that being said, this is quite a bit of a valuable offer, so I can only handle 20 people every single 2 weeks. So make sure to save your spot so you can get a head start in 2024. So make sure to book a call now just by following the link in the description, or you can simply just DM me on Facebook or Instagram with a time that would suit you and I'll let you know if I can do it at that time. I hope you have a good year and I wish you all the best.